So let's look at the Reports menu option, and the key reports are under Forecasts and Actual categories. Let's look at the forecast reports, and we've got Hurricane Ike again in the Gulf of Mexico, approaching Houston. And the first report we have is location wind probabilities. So we can pick our location group, and location groups, by the way, are groups of locations that come predefined, and you can also define your own location groups. But what it shows is the location and the probability of 34, 50, and 64 knot winds occurring at that location. The next report is probably the most important one, which is the location wind profile. And with that, I'll show you all your locations and the highest wind speeds expected, the date and time of the highest wind, and the timings of 34, 50, and 64 knot winds. If you double click on any of these locations, it'll then show you the details, which is a half-hour by half-hour description of the wind speeds at that location, as well as the wind direction and the distance from the center of the storm. There's also additional comments on the right-hand side that have to do with degree of damage that may occur and whether you're in the eye wall or not. And these reports were generated with advanced wind estimation on. Okay, the next report down is the surge probability. We're going to pick some coastal locations. And this report shows the location and the probability of 2-foot through actually 25-foot storm surge. So you can see a location like High Island with a 100% chance of a 4-foot surge down to 72% chance of a 10-foot surge. Next report is a county wind profile report, and it analyzes every county, shows the information on this table, but also can display it graphically with a thematic type map like this. Okay, finally, or the next one down, is a zip code analysis. And this is a wind profile analysis again. Okay, this takes a little longer to generate, but looks a lot like the county report, however at a zip code level. You can again show the thematic type image of this. You can zoom in and then display the wind values for those locations. So we've shown you the wind probabilities, the surge probabilities, and then the wind impact by location, county, and zip code. You can also create a report based on a map selection where you select the location off of a map. We won't show that right now because it looks similar to the location report. And the last report here is called Damage Estimate Report. It's only part of the HURRTRAK Advanced system. What this shows is a relative estimate of damage for wind and storm surge. And it compares the factors of this storm to a past storms and tells you which storms are similar to this one as far as a similar damage index. This is useful in helping determine the damage potential of a storm. However, it does not provide an actual dollar amount estimate of damage. This again is only part of the HURRTRAK Advanced system. Now, a couple interesting things you can do when you've displayed your reports. For example, this is the location group summary report. You can come up here and certainly print it or preview this report, but you can also change the format of the report a bit. And so, for example, you can export it to Excel and then show all of this data within Excel. You can export it to a shapefile and show it within your GIS program. You can also show the report data within Google Earth, and we showed that in the graphics section earlier. And then finally, you can also print or export an executive style report. And let's show that real quick. And this report, which is right now a 15-page report, is zoomed out a bit, and it shows the graphic as well as details about the storm. And we're going to zoom in a minute. But it also shows each of your locations, the expected impact to that location. And a larger number of locations in your group, obviously, the larger the report. So let's zoom in a bit. You can see the graphic. There's the information about the storm, expected coastal strike location, and watches and warnings. And then here is an example of impact to Galveston, Texas. And we've decided to include in this report both a narrative description of the impact as well as the details behind it. You have the ability with this report to show just the details, which is going to be a shorter report, or just the narrative. So this is highly customizable. At this point, you can print it, you can send it via email, preview it, basically share it with the rest of the users in your organization. We have found that this is the favorite report of most users. One additional support which you can create off of your county or zip code analysis is this impact summary. And what it shows is the population and households that are going to be affected by 34, 50, and 64 knot winds, and this is customizable, as well as any other data that you may have specific to your organization. We don't have these populated right now, but if you had business offices or call centers or data centers and it populated your county or zip code database with that information, you can also get information on how they're going to be impacted. Okay, just to wrap up this section, we'll quickly show what happens when you export the report data to the Google Earth. And it shows all of your locations that are going to be impacted. And again, you can click on these and see the impact of that location. So that was Galveston, Houston, and we do have an image of Houston there, Angelton, etc. So all these reports we've shown you thus far are all generated manually by user interaction with the system. There's also a whole set of automatic type reports that we'll describe in the next section. Okay, finally, we've shown all the forecast reports. You can do a lot of these same reports, the impact reports, based on the actual advisory data. So after the storm is over, if you want to do an analysis of those locations, ASOS locations, you can do that and get an idea immediately how hard they were probably hit. You can do that by locations, counties, zip codes, and also that damage estimate report. We won't go through all of those because they're in the same format as the forecast reports. So far all the reports we've discussed have been manually generated by user interaction with the system. There's also a series of reports that are automatically generated.